Hey everyone, Honey Lily here, and we are going to continue Vampire Coteries of New York. So VTM Coteries of New York, and we are at our fifth gameplay. So let's do this. So the last time we met Hope, and Hope was someone that we did like a test for, and we passed her test, so she said that she might be needing us in the near future. So I'm pretty excited about that. We have a few other people to go see today, so let's just continue our story. Sorry about that. I feel like I have I'm gonna drink a sip of water here. So I hope everyone's doing amazing. Sorry. Well, so let's go see. Okay, we have to rest at this point. You notice something strange by the front door of your haven. A letter's been slipped under the door in a cream-colored, old-fashioned envelope. There's no name on it, but you know it's meant for you. Opening the letter, it's clear. It's been sent by someone incredibly old-fashioned, rich, or a fan of the classic stationery. No normal person sends letters like this. That wasn't even a tongue twister. I have no idea what happened there. The note is short and terse, written in elegant, delicate handwriting. You're cordially invited to a rendezvous at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. I'll be waiting to make your acquaintance tomorrow night. Look for me closer to God. There is no other information. It looks like you have a mysterious invitation for the following night. That is interesting indeed. It's a kind of magic. Sophie's mention of vampire clans of the blood sorcerers sparked your attention. One of them, Agathon, could potentially be your introduction into the bizarre powers of the Tremere. Faith and Myth, Part 1. You've received an invitation to meet a mysterious someone at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. So these seem like kind of like side quests, I guess. The other side of Hope. Hope is about to head out into the city, accompany her, and see her true face. This is the Nosferatu, and this is the Gangrel. I definitely want to continue Hope, but I am really wondering about this Faith and Myth part, so let's try that. You haven't been to a church since you became a vampire, or kindred, as the euphemism goes. You've had to focus on concrete, practical things like survival and feeding. You've learned the essentials of the vampire experience, but you don't really have a clear idea of what it all means. The Cathedral of St. John the Divine is a New York landmark. You've been inside once before when you were much younger. You marveled at its Gothic facade. Looking at it now across the street, it feels ominous. The prospect of an anonymous invitation to a secret meeting is a worrying one, but the venue is well chosen. It's hard to imagine a violent attack in a place like this with eyes everywhere. You enter the cathedral discreetly. You've quickly learned to You've quickly learned this is an essential skill for a vampire. How to move without anyone noticing you. The full force of the cathedral's architecture hits you as you walk between the pews. If the architect meant to create the feeling of being small in the face of God's glory, mission accomplished. Based on the note, you're assuming that whoever you're meeting is somewhere in the front. As you step closer to the high altar, it feels as if something is dragging at your feet, as if the stone beneath you resists your movement. So here we have 3 choices. The first one being religion is superstition. The second one being vampires are satanic creatures. And does God still listen to you? So I guess this is where we kind of thinking of your clan at this point where you've been sired doesn't really matter. It comes down to, I guess, religious belief. I'm an atheist, so I definitely wouldn't say that I think that God is listening to me. I don't think that vampires are satanic creatures. Let's just go with religion is superstition. Religion is superstition. It must be your nerves. As you try to shake the feeling of crushing foreboding, it occurs to you that vampires are superstition too. There's an old man sitting in the front. You see only the back of his head, bowed down in silent prayer. Your footsteps echo on the floor, and he turns to look at you. You can't take your eyes off him. He's tall, dignified, white hair balding, a few strands escaping the sides. He's wearing glasses and simple clerical clothing. His eyes are warm and pale, too kind for someone like you. Something is wrong. You feel heavy, as if a giant hand was pressing you down. The skin on your face is burning. Perhaps unconsciously you expected something like this as a vampire walking into a cathedral, only it's not the building or God making you feel like you're burning alive. It's the man, the priest. Welcome, my child. The priest's tone is kind, but the rising panic inside is yelling at you that kindness is not for the likes of you. So we either run or we confront the priest. I'm no pussy, so I'm going to confront the priest. The only way to understand these painful feelings is to push forward and confront the priest. As you step closer to the priest, panic rises inside you. The emotions are hard to control. Fear, anger, pain, all trying to wrestle you in a different direction away. Can I help you? Are you okay? The priest talks to you like he would a lost vagrant who has chosen to enter the house of God. So we have a choice. How are you doing this? Please, it hurts, or I'm sorry, Father, I'm so sorry. I'm definitely not sorry. I would say either, please, it hurts, I don't know. How are you doing this would be my choice of option here. So let's do this. How are you doing this? I'm afraid I don't understand. It's simply too much. You mutter something incoherent in reply. You don't sound like a vampire, an undead being made powerful by immortal blood. You're just another sad, confused, lost soul. You turn around and stagger away, only feeling like yourself once you're back on the street outside. You stand on the sidewalk confused and scared. No enemies seem to be attacking you. The priest didn't follow you. The night's air wet. Hey, Gatsanoob, how the playable character looks like Spike from Cowboy Bebop. I don't even know what that is. I'll look it up when I'm done. How are you today, Gatsanoob? Okay, so no enemies seem to be attacking you. The priest didn't follow you. The night's air is wet with the smell of the city, the same as every night. Great! I'm so glad to hear that you're doing good. I am doing amazing as well. I was actually trying to set up my new gaming PC earlier, and it was a mess. The PC works fine. It's just, us console gamers, we like to play with a controller, and well, I tried to set one up, and anyways, I'll figure it out later, but it's all good. Other than a bit of frustration this morning, I am doing awesome. Okay, so let's continue. How did it feel? The stranger says. You look at the man speaking to you. He's well dressed, if a little archaic. Dark-haired, handsome, like a character from an old movie. He smiles as if he knows something you don't. Oh yeah, PC gaming is a whole new world, for real. I'm just starting to understand that. But I mean, I love it. I really love it. I mean, I've been wanting to play Phasmophobia forever since it's come out. And I finally get an opportunity to do that. It's just I'm not very used to the keyboard settings yet, so but I just realized that you can set up your PS4 controller on it, so I'm going to try that, see how that goes. I'd actually bought an Xbox One X Series controller, but when I would put my headset in the 3.5mm jack, there was no sound, no mic. And I was playing around for like a couple hours with the settings of the sound, and it's like if it didn't recognize it. So I just said, you know what, I'm returning it. I'll use one of the PS4 controllers I have, and it'll be that. No, Phasmophobia, as far as I'm concerned, is not available on console yet. It might be eventually, but I heard through the grapevines it might never be, so... You glance around. There are people on the street. You don't appear to be in immediate danger. So we have three choices here. Who the fuck are you? Did you do this to me? Or why does it hurt so much? I definitely want to know who this guy is. Thank you so much, Gaddy Noob. Do you have an opinion here on which one we should answer back? We're Clan Bruja, and I don't know if you know VTM. Do you know about VTM? I've heard of, but I've never played. Okay. So, in this case, we have the clan, we're from the clan Bruja, which is basically, we don't like to be very forthcoming, or we're a little reserved, we're kind of aggressive. So in this situation, I would choose the first one, because I'd be curious to know who he is. I'd be like, who the fuck are you? But I mean, if you would like me to choose another option, I can go ahead and do that. So would you like to choose between 1, 2, or 3? You're here to watch you play? Okay, no problem. I have no problem at all with that. If ever you want to pitch in, do. Usually when there's a few people around, I usually ask if they want 1, 2, or 3. It helps them be part of the game, and if you don't want to, that's 100% fine as well. So let's continue. So I'm going to say, who the fuck are you? Because he just made me go through hell, and I want to know who the fuck he is. Who the fuck are you? Please calm down. I'm not your enemy. Let me introduce myself. My name is Benoit Segal. We share many things in common, even if you don't know me. Benoit offers his hand to you. You refuse glaring at him is what I would choose. Benoit's brow rises in a surprise and he returns his hand to his side. Would you mind sitting with me for a moment? Benoit points to a park bench nearby, in darkness because of a broken streetlight. Wary, you decide to follow him. Only an enemy totally unconcerned with the masquerade would attack you here. Benoit sits down and you follow suit. For a moment, you both contemplate the cathedral in silence. I know how it feels, what you just felt. I have experienced it myself, many times. For a moment you consider how to respond. It's clear Benoit sent the invitation to come here and orchestrated this little setup. So, Gatsunoob, I'm going to explain to you just really quick because I just realized, so far from the beginning of the game, what has happened is that Jack, which is our whoever we're playing, got embraced by a random vampire, and this vampire didn't ask permission from the prince, which is like a higher, like the not the ruler, but the person that controls, let's say, this area of vampires. And so if you sire a child, so if you do an embrace with a childer and you don't ask for permission, normally the childer would die or be killed. So we were brought in front of the prince, we were judged, and we were to be killed. But one of the vampires that was there, Sophie, decided to take us under her wing. And of course, if ever we step out of line, she could kill us with no ands, ifs, or buts. So we're very reluctant to it. And right now she's sending us out to meet people, to learn other different types of clans, tricks of how to use our vampiric powers and stuff like that. And we had received a yellow envelope between the door telling us to come in this place. And this is where we are at right now. So we're figuring out who this person is and what they want from us, and that's basically where we're at right now in the game. So we have three options here. Why did you invite me? Did you try to get me killed? Or I feel like punching you. My definite answer for the people that know a bit of me is I definitely feel like punching him. So we're going to go with that. I'm thinking of hitting you in the face. Do I have a reason not to? You'll have to decide that for yourself. Let's talk a while. And if you still feel violent, I'll let you take a punch at me. Seems acceptable. I wanted you to meet Father Anthony, or see him, experience him. Did you wonder why it felt like that? We can either say it was the priest, it was a supernatural power, or does it matter? I don't think it's a supernatural power because it was just like a reaction. Does it matter? It kind of does to me. I kind of want to figure out why I felt that way. Hey, Lord G6! I'll be there until I need to jump into the unknown. No problem. I'm happy that you're here. Thank you so much. So, just to get you caught up, Lord G6, just basically, we had finished our last setup with Hope. We received this yellow envelope underneath the door, and it's this Benoit guy that led us to in the church, and this is basically where we're at. So, and I'm angry with him because he made me feel shitty. So, so that's where I'm at right now. Yes, exactly. So I do think it matters. So let's just go with it was the priest. Oh, and as I don't know if you heard, but I did definitely want to punch this guy in the face. At first I thought it was because I was in a church, but then I realized it came from him, the priest. Hey, demon. Glad you're here. I think you're right. It does come from him. It's his faith that makes you feel like that. He's safe in his belief while you are one of the damned. Do you ever wonder what's the role of a vampire in God's creation? You stop to think. Of course you've wondered what this is all about, whether it's about God or nature. You don't really know what being a vampire means. That's the trouble with the masquerade. A human faced with a human problem can go online and find something that helps. You can't. The masquerade means that everything there is to know about your condition is secret, hidden away. You're left relying on the unreliable opinions of people like Benoit. Suddenly, Benoit takes your hand and presses it against his chest. As he stares into your eyes, you feel his heart stop. Not too stressed for tomorrow's match, or is it already pretty much over in your mind? Oh my god. You know what, Lord Z6? If they keep playing the way they have in the first 3 games, we know where it's headed, but I'm gonna stay hopeful. I'm gonna stay hopeful. And I think Demon will too. Good. Good. My heart no longer beats, yet I move. I talk. Is that how God intended us to be? We have 3 choices. There's a natural explanation, no, can't be, or let me go. I definitely want him to let me go, so let me go. Let go of my hand, you asshole. Benoit lets go of your hand and you quickly withdraw it. You're asking yourself these same questions. You know you are. Sometimes I'm skeptical too, but in Father Anthony's presence, I know faith is real. I know it because it hurts so much, but perhaps you have questions about faith and our kind. Yes, what are we? How do you know any of these stories are true and perhaps we are divine, not damned? Wow, that's one hell of a comment there. How do you know any of these stories are true? Or yes, what are we? I don't assume that he knows what we are. He seems... I will go with number 2. What do you guys think, Demon and Lord? And Gaddy Noob, if you want to pitch in. Demon says 2. I would go for 2 as well. Yeah, okay, let's go for 2. How do you know any of these stories are true? I don't. How could I know? This is what faith is. You have to believe something. Good and evil, right and wrong, love and hate. I believe we are damned. I also believe that there is always hope, grace. Father Anthony's faith shows me the way. It's so easy for us to lose ourselves in a morass of occult speculation. Some of our kind revere Cain, others Lilith. Many of the Camarilla place their faith in the invisible guidance of the Methuselahs, who are supposed to watch over us. So we're going to go see what the Methuselahs is as definition. A vampire who has existed for a millennium or more. An elder who no longer participates in kindred society. Methuselahs are rumored to hail from the 4th and 5th generation. Yet I wonder how much that really matters when compared to the characters of a good man. Did I come here just to talk about religion? This is a lot to take in, or these are just crazy vampire stories. Yeah, I definitely go with this first one because, like I said a few minutes ago, I'm definitely an atheist, so I'm wondering where he's going with this religion stuff. Um, I would definitely go with number one. Demon seems to agree. It is it a lot to take in? Not really. It's not much of a surprise, and crazy vampire stories are not crazy vampires. Dude, we're a vampire. We have to believe it by now, right? So let's go with one. Did you have anything else, or did I come here just to talk about religion? I know it's overwhelming. It was for me when I first met Father Anthony. I know there are others like him, whose faith shines like a beacon. Priests, old ladies, children, anyone can have that conviction inside them. Which vampire stories aren't crazy anyways? So true. That is so true. I'm definitely not praying for guidance. This is too much, no, and I'm just saying I have to go. I have to go. I can't concentrate when I know the priest is still inside. Benoit nods patiently. Let's meet again in a few nights, here at the cathedral. We can talk more after you thought it through. You leave Benoit sitting in the shadows of the cathedral, contemplating what lies within. It would be easier to ignore his words without the reality of what you experienced. Father Anthony was holy. You know it to be true, but what does that mean? Okay, so we're back here and we have the choices to either go meet the Tremere, which is Agathon. We can go on this kind of mission with Hope, which was the one that we met the last time. We can meet D'Angelo, which is a Nosferatu clan vampire. And finally, we can meet with Tamika, who is from the clan of Gangrel. So, which ones would you like to see? Gangrel? So we have one vote for Gangrel. How about Lord G6 and Gatinub? So Nosferatu Gatinub is basically a kind of deformed vampire. They're cursed in a way, and they have, like if they have leper and stuff like that, so they look really deformed, and they have a tendencies to be more hidden, but they are also the most humane vampires that are around. Hope is Malkavian, so she has a crazy side to her, little insane. Agathon is Tremere, which I believe they are masters of the arts. And finally, Gangrel, which is kind of like animalistic, kind of aggressive, more type of vampire. So we have those four choices. As you wish, no preferences from experience. Either they're good scenes or I don't know them yet. Okay, so Steven says Gangrel. I guess we'll go with Gangrel. You make your way through the Grand Army Plaza, pacing the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arc. You can't help but feel a tinge of nostalgia as you picture the place as you've seen it countless times, in broad daylight, teeming with life. You quickly get over it and pass through the northwest gate into Prospect Park. The park is its usual maze of unkempt foliage and dimly lit alleys. Silence hangs in the air as it would at this time of night, and there doesn't appear to be any sign of kindred presence. You start to suspect Langley's source fed her a bunch of bullshit, but you're not willing to give it up just yet. As you ponder your opinions, you hear footsteps coming from behind a line of trees. Quick, but evenly paced, most likely a late-night jogger. No vampire would take kindly to you feeding in their domain, but then again, perhaps you could kill two birds with one stone. So we either walk around the park, seek out the Gangrel Haven, or feeding opportunity midnight jogger. We have a vote for number 2. I know it's not right to get blood from someone else on someone else's territory. It's frowned upon. And I feel it would be a lack of respect considering we want to have her in our, what was the name of it again? What we're trying to do, like this, can't remember the name of it, but let's go and seek out the Gangrel Haven, like Demon suggests. You head south, delving deeper into the less frequented section of the park. Passing a babbling stream, you make your way into the ravine. Home to some of the oldest trees in the park, it's the place to go when you want to get away from the crowd and enjoy some one-on-one time with nature. And that's during the day. At night, it's bound to be a gangrel's delight. Making your way through the brush, you come across a rocky crevice hidden behind a wobbly chain-linked fence. You leap over the fence in a single bound, trying to land as quietly as kindredly possible. So how do vamps mark their territories anyways? So from what I understand in this situation, New York is set up kind of like in areas. So there's like some imaginary, not imaginary, but like certain areas, and you just kind of know, being in that circle, okay, this area is for this clan, this one is for that one, and they take propriety. So it's kind of like gang members, I guess, in a way, you know, where you kind of know this area is kind of this one's and that one's. So it's like non-official, but it's like this general rule. So if you're a vampire, you know. Do they throw shoes over phone lines? I'm pretty sure some might. That's really funny. I love that. I love that you would say something like that. I'm pretty sure that the Malkavians must be up to a lot of different types of mischief. Guaranteed. I mean, we got played in the last episode. I could tell you that, by a Malkavian. It was pretty epic. The crevice looks deep enough for you to think twice about jumping in. Instead, you peer into the darkness below, listening intently. In a split second, the air by the side of your head swirls like a vortex. Driven by sheer instinct, you lean back just as 5 fingers shape razors cut through the darkness, missing your face by an inch. A clawed shadow jumps back a few paces, preparing to correct its mistake. You catch a glimpse of the assailant. Looks pretty animalistic, all right. But he's not the one you're looking for. For starters, it's a he. Just as he's about to lunge at you, a snarl resounds from the bushes nearby, stopping your foe in their tracks. Out of the shadows emerges a young woman, baring her teeth ever so slightly. She walks over, calmly, her eyes fixed on your assailant. Her presence is enough to make him reconsider attacking you, but not to withdraw completely. He glances over to her, puffing up his chest. Stay out of it, Tam. I smell them first. Tam, how about that? She raises an eyebrow, but remains silent. Her compatriot turns back towards you. You shouldn't have come here, pretty boy. I'm gonna fuck you up so bad you'll be wearing your tongue as a fucking necktie. Tamika looks at you, expectantly. Easy there. I'm not looking for a fight. So you can bark. Let's see your bite. Oh! You guys know what I want to say in this one. Really? Well, that's some colorful language. Yes, we love VTM just for that. Well, it's not... It's colorful, but it's well placed. You'll see, it's not exaggerated either. Oh, they really know how to tempt you. I know, right? I have a feeling, Lord, that you answered number 1 here. Just a feeling that I have. that you would have said that. I mean, we're Brua. Like we're badasses. I care about your number one choice, Demon, I do. But I really want to see his bite. Yeah, I agree with Gad. Noob. Let's do it. So you can bark. Let's see your bite. Alright, boy. Let's see if your bite is as bad as your bark. Thank you. Clearly taken aback, he looks over to Tamika, as if God gauging her reaction. What are you looking to her for? Guess I know who the alpha is. Oh! I need to look at my replay, but I'm not entirely sure. I love this answer. Guess I know who your alpha... Yeah, that's definitely what I'm saying. Guess I know who the alpha is. Boom. Guess I know who the alpha is around here. A barely visible smile creeps up on Tamika's lips. The man's eyes narrow. Although you can't really see it, you can bet the hair on the back of his neck just stood up. Shut your fucking mouth, pretty boy. You should have run when you had the chance. A fierce growl echoes across the alley, stopping the savage in his tracks. Tamika walks over to her comrade, her fangs glistening in the dim lamplight. She puts her hands on the side of his head, caressing his hair and tugging at his ears, as if she was scolding a puppy. She leans over and speaks in the voice that's firm, yet oddly affectionate. Ooh, shots fired. Hey, Croaky Toad, how are you? I'm so glad you're here. It's okay, Raul. I'll handle it from here. I am so great. I'm so great. Thank you so much. I mean, I know your birthday was yesterday. I'm sure it was awesome. I'm sorry I missed the evening with you guys. It must have been awesome. I recently heard that the whole alpha, beta, omega thing with wolves is pretty much limited to captive wolves, and alphas are actually just dads. Really? I didn't know that. That's very nice to know. It's okay. I ran into some PC problems, but I figured it out, so it turned out okay. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I kind of saw when you got back on around like 1-ish or something. It looked awesome, but I was just so tired that I had to go to bed. But I'm really glad it turned out. The male gangrel looks at her with a mix of timidity and resentment. Then he turns back towards you. You want to waste time on this asshole, Tam? Be my guest. Temper. Having said his piece, Raul retreats into the shadows, although if you were to guess, he's likely to stay within earshot. With her companion gone, Tamika turns to you once more. What do you want? Straight to the point, I like that. I could use your help, or better put a leash on that pet of yours. Oh man, that's so what I want to answer, but then I don't want to anger her because I want her to be on my side. I didn't care about the other guy. I knew she was the alpha, so straight to the point, I like that. That's what I would go with. Demon would go with 2. Any other options of you want either 1, 2, or 3? Now is the time. Demon's sweet. He's such a sweet man. I'm more aggressive. I like her. I really want to go with straight to the point. I like that. So we're going to go with that. Straight to the point, huh? I like that. I don't care what you like. Now quit stalling. You have something to say it. I'm looking for partners. I want us to be friends. No, definitely partners. I come with an offer. I'm willing to offer you my services, such as they are. All I would hope for in return is a fruitful, long-lasting relationship. So you want to help me with something, because you want to be my friend. That's about right? Sounds corny, I know. Yeah. Yeah, when you put it that way, it does sound corny, doesn't it? Uh-huh. She puts on a veneer of skepticism, but you can tell she's intrigued. Courtney's not bad, though. I think I'm okay with Courtney. She likes us. What I'm not okay with is putting my ass on the line and getting stabbed in the back for my trouble. So why exactly should I trust anything you say? Um, I can make it worth your while. No, this isn't like Jezebel. I don't expect her to trust anything I have to say because she doesn't know me and I don't trust her either. So I'm gonna go with the first one. I don't expect you to. I don't expect you to, not yet anyway. Good, because my trust is earned, not given. Then let me earn it. That's what I would say. Then let me earn it. A few nights of your time, that's all I ask. For a brief moment, she stands there motionless, looking straight into your eyes, as if trying to size you up. Finally, she looks away. It looks like she's come to a decision. Just so that we're clear, I don't trust you. I have no reason to. Frankly, you sound more lost than I am. Still, you have that earnest look about you. Naive, almost. I can tell you believe what you're saying. So I'll give you a chance to prove yourself. I have some outstanding business to take care of. I'll let you know once that's done. Meet me here and we'll see what you're really made of. And with that, Tamika disappears into the night. That went pretty well, all things considered. So that's actually really good. I'm happy with that end result. So we're gonna go rest real quick. See what that brings. Not long after you wake up tonight, Gregory knocks on the door of your apartment. Hey, I came to pick you up. Miss Langley wants to see you. Do you know what she needs me for? What if I don't want to see her? Or, well, my freedom was good while it lasted. Definitely the third one. Those last 2 nights were nice. I had freedom initiative. Good while it lasted, I guess. He smiles apologetically. Don't shoot the messenger. The car's waiting. Shall we? You wrestle with the same thoughts as a few nights ago. Maybe you should just leave. Disappear? Let Sophie find somebody else to employ. Oh, she'll kill your ass if you do that. But then you remember the anarch thug being cut down by Kadzir and how close you were to the same fate, not even a week ago, and that it might still happen if you step out of line. You follow suit. As with your previous visit here, Sophie seems not entirely present when you enter. Her eyes are locked on one of the paintings in the room. You're pretty sure it was here earlier, but she's behaving as if she's seeing it for the first time in her life, entirely entranced. Gregory clears his throat. Sophie turns to the both of you, a bit of irritation in her countenance that soon gives way to a pleasant, warm smile. You're here. Excellent. Thank you, Gregory. Her driver leaves and she returns her attention to you. I hope you had a good few nights and made some new acquaintances, but I have to say, I'm happy to see you, Jack. Thank you for coming. The change in the mood of the room is so sudden and startling, it makes you consider the true power of vampiric charisma. Rationally, you know you're being manipulated, but you don't even care. Her eyes, her motions, her entire body's language all feel 100% genuine in expressing legitimate interest in you and your well-being. I have a request for you this night. I need you to find somebody for me and make a delivery. She points to the statue at the side of the room. You notice a plain-looking flash drive lying on the edge where the inanimate archer's bow touches the pedestal. The man you'll be looking for calls himself Kaiser. He has eyes and ears all over New York, and it's rare for something to happen here without his knowledge. I'll need you to take this flash drive and bring it to him. In exchange, he will give you an address, which I need to know as soon as possible. You're about to ask what's on the drive, but Sophie proves to be one step ahead of you. Oh, don't worry about the contents. They are encrypted. A precaution for the data falls into the wrong hands, but it won't, correct? She gives you a smile that just a handful of nights ago would have made you feel like melting. Oh, and Jack. Kaiser is a Nosferatu, that twisted, deformed lineage of kindred. He is old, and his age has made him even more paranoid than others of his clan tend to be. There's a definition. It's a lineage, a vampire's bloodline, the kindred's sire, sire's sire, etc., an archaic term. So, he holds many havens and changes them often. From what I've gathered, he or one of his servants should be found in the park of Coney Island tonight. You'll have to identify them somehow. I'm told Kaiser has spent many of his nights these past few years being driven around the city in a black limo. Maybe keep an eye out for it. That smile again, but much shorter. So we have 3 questions here. Anything more on Kaiser? Why do you need to trade with Kaiser? And why don't you look for Kaiser yourself? Oh. I'd go with question number 1. Anything more on Kaiser? Anything more you can tell me about Kaiser? He's been here a long time, about as long as I have. He's got into a lot of trouble for exchanging information with both the Anarchs and the Camarilla in the past, but ultimately got off scot-free. Kaiser's web of information proved to be wrong enough to shield him from the consequences of playing both sides. Some say that's the best proof of his abilities. In any case, be careful when talking to him. He's pretty particular about everyone's etiquette except his own. Good night and good luck. She flashes one last smile at you and turns back to the painting, clearly done with the conversation. You pocket the flash drive and head out towards Coney Island. It takes you the better part of an hour to reach the lights and sounds of Coney Island amusement park from the city. The drive is almost pleasant this time of night. Thank God for Belt Parkway. There are plenty of people here tonight, but nobody who stands out as a traveling purveyor of secrets. Then again, if they did stand out, it would be kind of pointless, right? Nothing to do but figure out the right approach. Ask around for Kaiser, search for signs of Kaiser or a feeding opportunity. I feel like I should be trying to feed. Because I don't know if you guys noticed the black area around the screen. I'm not sure if that's the blood raging coming in. We haven't fed for like 2 days. But this guy is super paranoid, so I'm not sure we should be pissing him off. I'm worried because we have that beast inside us. 2 days, oh, you might be getting hungry. Exactly. And what happens is you don't necessarily want to see the hungry side because it's like a loss of control, and I think it's not a good thing. But it doesn't seem increasingly crazy, so I think we could wait this one out. I would not ask around for him because he's paranoid, so let's just go search for signs of Kaiser. There are plenty of nooks and crannies to investigate around here, but if Kaiser frequents this area, there has to be some kind of clue to grab onto, right? You spend a good hour snooping around, eyes peeled on the black limo Sophie mentioned, or any signs that a Nosferatu or any vampire has their haven around these parts. Zilch. Annoyed, you turn back around to the lights of the amusement park, only to find a man standing in your way. Wearing an oversized jacket, he had the air of a junkie or dealer about him. Well, that's kind of sounds like a Nosferatu. Who knows what he's got in those pockets? Are you lost? I'm looking for someone called Kaiser. I'm not lost, just sightseeing, or maybe what's it to you? Let's go with the first one. Ever heard of the name Kaiser? I'm looking for him. Nah, don't know who that is. I bet you it's him. He's a terrible liar, clearly full of shit. Tell him Sophie sent you. Or intimidate him into contacting Kaiser. I'll just say Sophie sent me. Listen, I was sent here by Sophie Langley. She has something for Kaiser. I need to contact him and hand it over. Nothing more to it. Don't know her. I told you already. I don't know who Kaiser is either. He sees the doubt in your face. Fuck it. Stay right there. He produces his phone. It's a fancy model. Doesn't look like anything readily available on the market. Unlocks it, dials a number. 2 tones go by, a voice on the other end. Sorry to bother you again, boss. Yeah, I know how much you need your alone time. That sounds very nice. There's somebody here who wants to see you. They're with Langley? Sophie Langley? Yeah. A string of loud obscenities fill the phone. The man winces and pushes it away from his ear, and then call stops. Almost immediately, a chime, the Count's laugh from Sesame Street, wow, announces a new message sent to the phone. He's on his way. Don't go anywhere. Not 15 minutes pass before a black limo stops near where you're waiting. One door opens, an invitation. The inside of the limo used to be a luxury lounge, to the kind with a stripper pole and a bar full of alcohol, but is currently has none of that. Instead, there's monitors and consoles. There are dozens of displays, each one showing something different. Surveillance camera footage, stock market quotes, television news, emails, tweets, silent movies, lo-fi footage of a gory torture session. Wow. You wonder if the limo's owner can focus on anything while surrounded by all of this visual noise, and then realize there's nobody there. Or is there? A man blinks into existence on a leather-covered couch, attempting to maintain something that approximates a regal presence. You're 100% sure it's Kaiser. Surrounded by dimly lit computer screens, his features are even more ghastly than you imagined. All sharp angles of twisted bone, mangled flesh, and crooked teeth. He bears them in an awful parody of smile. The doors close behind you. Oh my god, he's so ugly. Okay, so the waste of good blood outside tells me Sophie Langley sent you, huh? You got something for me? You reluctantly pull the flash drive from your pocket and slowly pass it to Kaiser. He plugs it into a USB port on the arm of his chair and displays the data on one of the screens that happens to be turned away from you. It takes him about a minute to access the data. Who do you people think I am? I saw this footage a week ago. He removes the flash drive and throws it back at you in disgust. Tell Sophie the deal's off. She wants her address, she can give me something else. So we either ask him to give us a break, ask how you can make it up to him, or ask him to take the deal. Three for Demon? I don't know, like, we can try. But if we try to push him, like, he's as old as Sophie. This is like telling a master of swords and you're just like a noob with swords, that you're trying to like intimidate him with your sword. Do we want to owe him something if we go for number 2 though? I'd rather go with ask him to give you a break. Although you sound like a pussy when you say that, it is what it is. Come on, give me a break. How could we have known that you already seen this material? He gives you a patronizing look. Kid, you're new here, so I'll pretend I didn't hear that. You want your address? You're gonna have to work for it. I have just the idea. Yeah, something appropriate for a Negro fledgling like yourself. More on that soon. Stay tuned. Now get the fuck out. You're pretty sure you're done here. You get out, close the door behind you, and the car immediately starts backing up. The opaque windows slide past you, and soon the limo is on its way. Kaiser's lackey is nowhere to be seen, so you make your way to your car and drive back, wondering what tomorrow brings. Okay, so it ended well. I'm happy about that. So now we can either see the Tremere, Agathon, we can go do the mission for Hope, we can visit the Nosferatu, D'Angelo, or do the mission for Tam. I'd go between Nosferatu and the Tremere. Demon seems to sign that he would like to go see D'Angelo. Let's go see D'Angelo. As you make your way down Clinton Street, the incessant hum of traffic gives way to the ominous silence of the waterfront. You stop to take in the familiar bouquet of the Hudson, made all the more potent by your recently sharpened senses. Across the basin, the Red Hook grain terminal rears its rusty frame. Once a bustling industrial area, now sleeping giants splayed out on the riverbank, forgotten, abandoned. Conveniently so, especially for one of the hidden. Keeping to the shadows, you sneak closer to the dilapidated complex, making your way past hole-ridden silos and wobbly chain-link fences. By the time you reach the entrance to the main building, you can almost feel the rust particles making themselves cozy in the back of your throat. Not getting your hopes up, you give the door a slight nudge. To your surprise, it gives almost instantly. Looks like someone's been using it recently. Once inside, you find yourself in a large hall. Looking around, you can almost picture it back in its heyday, stacked to the rafters with heavy machinery. You notice a set of stairs leading up to a mezzanine, most likely an office space, and then you see it, a faint light coming from one of the upper rooms. Looks like you're in luck. Quietly, with bated breath, you climb the steps and approach the dimly lit room. The door creaks open, revealing what it looks like an old-timey detective's office, complete with crooked window blinds, an overflowing ashtray, and papers scattered across the wooden desk. Suddenly, it hits you, that nagging feeling. This is all too convenient, too inviting. Before you can react, the trap is already sprung. A plume of cigar smoke wafts over your shoulder. The barrel of a gun rubs against your spine. A raspy voice whispers in your ear. Let me guess. Took a wrong turn at the third silo? We can either attempt to talk down the assailant, rush the assailant, or make him stand down. I haven't had blood in a while. If I use this, it's gonna take even more out of me. I'd go with either 1 or 2. I definitely kind of want to rush the assailant. Show him that I'm not here to play. 1. Okay, I'll go with that. Attempt to talk down the assailant. You decide to play along, raising your arms slowly. You weigh your next words carefully. You're pretty sure a bullet to the back wouldn't kill you, but it doesn't sound too pleasant either. So this isn't Bloodsuckers Anonymous. Let's not do anything rash. How about we talk like civilized kindred? I definitely go with the first one. So I'm gonna go with the first one. You meant this isn't Bloodsuckers Anonymous? Yeah, it's really funny. I agree, exactly. And I think it's gonna kind of lighten up the mood as well, because he seems pretty serious. A noise rattles behind your head, like someone shook a can full of gravel. It might have been a chuckle, but your guess is as good as anyone's. Wise guy, huh? Luckily for you, I have a soft spot for wise guys, so I'll give you a chance to explain yourself. In a strange interplay of light and shadows, the stranger reappears behind his desk. Seeing him in his full, for lack of a better word, glory, you can't help but smirk. This is the dreaded Nosferatu? The way Sophie described them, you were expecting some grotesque monstrosity, but this guy, the clothes, the swagger, the hard-boiled detective routine, it all comes across as a bad joke. Still, when it comes to appearance, his lineage is undeniable. From 30 feet away, he could probably pass for a bum with a nasty skin condition. From 5 feet away, he looks like something made to be seen from 30 feet away. He leans back in his chair, casually pointing his gun at you. So, what brings you to my humble office? I'm looking for an Nosferatu. Well, that's pretty obvious. Are you D'Angelo and the Red Hook murders? I'd just go ahead with ask if he's D'Angelo. You're the one they call D'Angelo. That's my name, kid. Don't wear it out. My friends call me Jin, so you best stick to D'Angelo for the time being. Now, I suggest you tell me what this is about. Otherwise, I kindly ask you to get the fuck out of my office. I can see why Kadir keeps you, or I know who you work for. Let's flatter him a little. Say, I can see why Kadir keeps you. Charming. I can see why Kadir keeps you around. His expression sours. Not a name you want to casually toss around, kid. But hey, I get it. You're not some random schmuck who wandered in here off the streets. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Who I work for is less important. What I'm working on, however. I know I'm here to help. Isn't going so well, so let me help. So I'd go with the first one. I know I'm here to help. The Red Hook murders. I know. I want to help you catch the killer. His moldy lips twist into a smile. Do you now? D'Angelo lowers his shades. For a few seconds, he sits motionless with his eyes fixed on yours. Suddenly, he raises his gun, almost making you flinch. Almost. Then he twirls it into his shoulder holster in a flashy display that definitely looks like it was practiced a lot in front of a mirror. You see Nosferatu's lip moves, but the quiet mumbling clearly isn't meant for you to hear. Listening in, you're able to catch snippets of his monologue. Sure, they seem scared. Sorry, he says, sure, they seem to care. What was the end game? What was their angle? Everybody's got one, even if they pretend like they don't. Especially then. What the hell? Maybe this town finally got to me. He pauses, sticks a fresh cigar between his crooked teeth. Maybe a good leap of faith is just what the doctor ordered. Are you narrating? Offer him a light or remain silent? I'd remain silent. Offer him a light? Offer him a light. Let's offer him a light. As he reaches into his pocket, you flash a lit lighter before his eyes. Or maybe you could use a healthy dose of unhealthy. For a split second, he gives you a puzzled look. Then he leans over to your lighter, puffing on the cig as it catches fire. A wry smile comes back to his lips. I like you, kid. You might look like a used car salesman, but there's just something about you. Tell you what. I was just about to head back to the crime scene, take a look around, refresh my notes. You can tag along if you want to. I could use an assistant, someone to take note and make wild assumptions for me to shoot down. You know, if you're any good, I might consider making this a long-term arrangement. Sounds good. You won't regret it, or what are we waiting for? I'm definitely going for what are we waiting for. I love crime scenes. Let's do it. What are we waiting for? Just one more thing. You still got me at a disadvantage here. Seems like you've done some digging on me, but with you, I've barely scratched the surface. You catch my drift? So answer me this. Who was it that sent you into my neck of the woods? Or, in layman's terms, who do you work for? We're gonna say Sophie Langley. Let's just go ahead. Sophie Langley. For the first time since you got here, the Nosferatu adopts a look of genuine surprise. His eyes wander for a moment, finally giving way to a crooked smile. So you're the one, huh? The fledgling in the Toreador, Dame spared? Yeah, that would make sense. Don't think she'd appreciate you throwing her name around. Thanks for being upfront, kid. One blink is enough for you to miss D'Angelo's vanishing from his chair. Just when you're about to look around, he reappears right next to you. Up close, his smile is even more unnerving. All right, moonlight's burning. Let's get cracking. With a certain fascination, you watch D'Angelo stumble his way across West Brooklyn. Oddly animated, incessantly scratching his face and neck, stopping every once in a while for about a mumbling narration. He is most certainly a sight to behold. Still, he seems to be getting around okay, and you take a particular note of the fact that he seems to be choosing the darker, less frequented streets. There is definitely a method to his madness. Eventually, your leprous guide takes a sudden turn off Van Brunt Street and into a particularly dingy alleyway. The torn pieces of yellow police tape are a dead giveaway. This has to be the place. Well, here we are. Time for you to earn your stripes. This is where they found him, drained dry. Not a drop of blood in him. And before you ask, no, I didn't get to see the body, so I don't know if there were any bite marks. So, what can you tell me? You take a moment to examine the crime scene. Judging by the chalk outline of the pavement, the man was killed recently. Curiously, there doesn't appear to be a trace of blood or viscera. And you know the city's cleanup crew isn't that fast, or that thorough. Looking up, you notice a spray-painted sign on the wall. It reads, "The Blood Speaks," in big, crooked letters. You look to D'Angelo. The Nosferatu gives you an expecting look. The graffiti looks like a clue. How come there's no blood? And you're the detective, you tell me. I'd definitely go for 2. How come there's no blood? You want to go with 1? The graffiti is a clue? Okay, let's do that. You point at the spray-painted sign. That looks like a clue. Sure, kid. Might as well start with the elephant in the room. What do you think it means? You give the sign a good hard look. It's no Rembrandt. The writing is jagged, clearly done in a hurry. It seems desperate. Or it's meant to throw us off. I think it's meant to throw us off. So let's go with that. Nothing. It's meant to throw us off. Nah, I can see why you'd think that, but look at how crooked the letters are. Barely legible. You can't fake something like that. Someone was very nervous, very scared. It definitely meant something to them. And then there's blood, or lack thereof. And given that the murder was committed right here, and the victim didn't make a sound, we can therefore conclude that the killer is kindred, or the killer used a sedative. I'd say the killer used a sedative. The killer used a sedative. And then what? Pump the blood without spilling a drop with people nearby? Nah, kid. Only one set of tools can do this quickly and this quietly. He smiles and taps himself on one of his fangs. Tell me, if you were to guess, which clan would you say our killer belongs to? Oh, this one is tough. So Thin Bloods are vampires that are like um, very, like, many, many, many generations down. Um, I don't think they would be like necessarily clean. This is very clean, very Twilight. Yeah, definitely. Malkavians, they're messy. Well, I'd go mostly with Tremere, like maybe a work of art, although there's nothing there as a work of art. Most likely Thin Bloods, because it was cleaned up, but not necessarily like they would normally do the cleanup. Let's go with Thin Bloods. This has Thin Bloods written all over it. So, definition of Thin Bloods are vampires with blood so diluted they retain many human traits. The Thin Bloods are invariably clanless, survivors of the last decades of pogroms, prejudice, and ostracization. Their numbers no swell. Their messy street alchemy and ability to pass as humans makes them uniquely suited to thrive outside kindred society and makes their own fate in the postmodern nights. The thin-blooded can be of any mortal origin and are not affected by their parents' clan's curse, nor by their preferences of the same degree as their sire. In 2009, the Inner Circle of the Camarilla issued an edict that all thin-blooded must be branded or tattooed with the mark of the crescent moon, inked by a Tremere tattoo artist, or scorched with a beam of sunlight. The brand is irreversible. Many kindreds still view the thin blood as a threat to the masquerade. Weakling, runs off, abortions, and will destroy them if given the chance. Those who don't despise thin bloods tend to call them the young ones, chameleons, or duskborns. D'Angelo smiles approvingly. In bright neon letters, a fully fledged kindred would use his powers to lure the victims somewhere out of sight, and they certainly wouldn't stick around for the shitty art project. He pauses, spits out a mangled remains of a cigar. Shit. Looks like we're gonna have to pay Larson a visit. The thin blood primogen? Why him? Or you don't sound happy? I'd go with you don't sound happy. You don't sound too happy about it. It's complicated. Larson's got a neat setup. For a thin blood anyways. Lives with his family, a mortal family, mind you. Even though he's a primogen, he's managed to shield them from kindred politics, and that takes some doing. Not sure if he knows who the killer is, but could probably make an educated guess. In any case, we'd be doing him a favor. If it turns out one of his is violating the masquerade, it would put him in a hell of an awkward position, and I mean shitting upside down awkward. It's the kind of weakness the other primogen would love to exploit. His position in the council is bad as it is. He pauses for a moment and mumbles to himself, but it's too quiet for you to make it out. Finally, he lights up a fresh cigar. He takes a puff and lets the smoke escape through his crooked smile. All right, kid. Let's get this over with. Compared to the industrial ugliness of Red Hook, Sterling Place is quite a change of scenery. The heavily gentrified and pleasantly dull residential area emanates the sort of peaceful apathy the rich hipsters scoff at and blue-collar workers dream of. All of a sudden, the Nosferatu stops. It almost seems like he was taking a deep breath, steeling himself from things to come. This is the place. With that, he points to a surprisingly nice-looking two-story house. The place is almost completely dark. Almost. You notice a dim light shining through the curtains of an upper-story window. It's probably safe to assume that the head of the family is working late, especially if the head of the family happens to be a vampire. Okay, kid, we gotta be gentle about this. I'm talking velvet gloves, soft cushions. You rang, Lord Gentle. We need to get Larson out here without making a fuss or letting his family see us. If we blow this, He'll shut down like a squeakeasy on raid night. Trust me, I know. So we have 3 choices. Sounds like you two have some history. Let's get to it. And what's the plan? What's the plan? Let's go with that. Okay, so what's the plan? Tell you what. How about you take the lead on this one? I'm curious to see how you handle it. You take a step back and look around the area. Lit windows seem like a safe bet. Now it's just a matter of getting Larson's attention. His and no one else's. As you're trying to come up with a viable strategy, you are suddenly startled by a loud noise. It takes you a second to identify the sound as a dog barking. It doesn't take you long to figure out where it came from, as a bearded man leading a Rottweiler on a leash comes into view. Ring the doorbell, throw a small rock at the window, or feeding opportunity, a man walking his dog. I kinda want to feed. Let's go with that. As you turn towards the man with the dog, D'Angelo gives you a worried look. Kid? Shushing him with a gesture, you plunge into the shadows and crouch behind a well-trimmed hedge. True to his word, D'Angelo follows your lead, though he doesn't seem too happy about it. You best not be thinking what I think you're thinking. You tense up, waiting for the man to get closer. When he does, you spring from the darkness, grabbing both his arms and sinking your teeth into his neck. His blood gushes into your mouth, thick with surprise and laced with just enough fear. It's all so quick and yet so sublime. The man goes limp. His best friend doesn't. The dog goes off on a barking spree that would make a dead man cover his ears. You tear away from your victim, ready to let the beast loose on the hapless canine. D'Angelo, however, is quick to curtail your murderous appetite. The detective approaches these animals, looking in straight in the eyes. He mumbles something underneath his breath, an oddly melodic whisper. Mesmerized by the chant, the dog grows quiet and lays it on his back, allowing D'Angelo to pat its belly. Suddenly, you notice lights turning on in some of the houses. D'Angelo gives you an angry look and points to the unconscious man in your arms. Oops. Get him out of sight. Now. I fucked up here. Heeding his advice, you hoist the man over your shoulder and carry him to the nearest bush. Just as you're getting up, a very unassuming and slightly unshaven man in a turtleneck approaches D'Angelo. He doesn't seem happy to see him. Are you fucking insane? I mean, I know you are, but this is nuts, even by your standards, D'Angelo. You glance over to D'Angelo. He looks somewhat embarrassed, scratching the back of his neck, clearly trying to find the right angle to play this. Sorry, we needed to get your attention. You want nuts? I'll show you nuts. Or don't interfere. I'd go with 1. Hey Larson, sorry about the fuss, but we needed to get your attention. By feeding right next to my house? What the hell is wrong with you? Get the hell out of here. No, not before you tell us. 2's a bit too much, yeah. Not before you tell us about the murder. Or, relax, I didn't bleed him. I'd say the first one. Not before you tell us about the murders. We will, once you tell us all you know about the Red Hook murders. The what? What in the hell are you babbling about? D'Angelo, what's going on here? It's about the Red Hook murders. We think one of yours is responsible. Bullshit. A Duxborn got enough trouble just staying alive out here. What could possibly make them openly violate the masquerade? Desperation. The killer's been leaving messages, whoever they are. I think they know something. Something they can't share with just anyone. I know it seems far-fetched, but it's the only way the puzzle fits together. Nah, I don't buy it. You're reaching. Trying to find a scapegoat. Get in your boss's good graces. Word gets round, D'Angelo. You think I don't know who you're working for? We have three choices. Then help us clear your name. Figures you'd cover for one of your own. Or what if we stop asking politely? I'd go for the first one. Help us clear your name. I mean, we did talk to this guy in the art gallery, and he wasn't an asshole to us, so I don't see why we should be an asshole to him. So let's just go, then help us clear your name. Then help us clear your name, your people's name. What have you got to lose? Everything. I've been a thorn in the council's side for a while now. This is just the excuse they need to get rid of me. What if it turns out one of yours did it, and you sat on your hands to protect him? You think the council won't jump on that? He looks off into the darkness, pondering his options. He lets out a heavy sigh. Look, I'll ask around, consult my sources. If it turns out one of my own is responsible, they will face justice. In the meantime, keep your deductions to yourself. I have enough trouble as it is. Deal. Good. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to my family. And with that, Larson retreats to the elusive safety of his home. He decides it's best to move along. You walk a couple blocks in utter silence. Even D'Angelo's mumbling seems to have taken a backseat. Oddly enough, you find his newfound reticence somewhat unnerving. Finally, the Nosferatu stops and turns towards you. Hell of a night. I don't know about you, kid, but I sure could use a drink. Something warm, in a tall, sweaty glass. But first, let me tally your score. Let's see now. You did make a good first impression. I like someone who can talk themselves out of a tight spot. Talking's cheap. Bullets, not so much. You held your own in a crime scene. Nothing I hadn't figured out on my own. But hey, we can't all be professionals. Finally, when the situation called for subtlety, you managed to avoid unwanted attention. Discretion is what separates a private dick from just any old dick. Well, I thought that wasn't very discreet, but apparently we got away with it. All in all, you did fine. Not fine, but not bad for your first case. Don't let it get to your head. I'll be in touch. Let you know if I hear from Larson. Be ready to meet me at the office. He starts to walk away, but suddenly stops and turns back around towards you. And bring a notepad. Every good assistant should have one. So we actually ended up doing well in that one, considering. And I'm happy I got the blood, because honestly, we had skipped already 2 times. And I think the negative effects would have been worse had we hunted on someone else's grounds. So it would have been a lack of respect, and we're trying to, get a gang of not partners, but allies, I guess, to help us out. So that's what's happening there. You're walking down the street towards your haven. In some other town, the sidewalks would be deserted this time of night. In New York City, there are plenty of passerby going about their business. It's easy to be paranoid when you're a vampire, surrounded by a crowd of humans. The Kindreds has many enemies, and all those enemies have one trait in common. They're invisible, indistinguishable from normal humanity. Other vampires, hunters, all look like people. And is that old man just a tired restaurant worker, or a Kindred's thrall tailing your movements? Are the officers idly waiting in a patrol car, ordinary cops, or Second Inquisition specialists looking to end undead threats? This kind of thinking leads to madness, but you can't shake the feeling that someone is watching you. It's not the first time you've felt like this. Whatever this is, it's probably something you have to take care of. Best case, someone is tailing you. Worst case, you'll be attacked and killed. Unfortunately, being undead has its limitations. The sun is coming up soon, and you'll burn to a crisp if you stay on the streets. You reach your haven and settled in for the day, disconcerted by the idea that someone might know where you sleep. As you wake from your slumber and emerge From your haven for the night, you notice a familiar face on the other side of the street, standing on the corner and looking straight at you. Oh shit. Is it his ex-girlfriend? Oh no, okay. It's Kaiser Lackey. Kaiser's lackey, whom you met recently, Jackie. He nods to you, encouraging you to approach. His hands are outside of his pockets and he seems pretty relaxed. He's keeping his eyes on the street though, as if making you sure you're alone. He smiles awkwardly when you approach. Evening. Got something from you from our mutual friend. He produces a crumpled piece of paper from his jacket pocket and hands it to you. Read it, memorize it, then give it back here. Oh god, my memory sucks. It's a letter. The paper might be just a page ripped out of a spiral notebook, but the writing on it is exquisitely detailed and deliberate. It reads, "Time to square your debt with me. Go to the wine shop at 232 Mulberry Street and ask for the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negramaro." Okay. I'm not kidding when I say that my memory really fucking sucks. I'm just gonna take a quick screenshot just in case I actually need to remember this because, yeah. Demon's definitely the one with the better memory here. When they tell you they don't have it, say you are a fidel servitore della famiglia. G. Fidele servitore della famiglia G. Those exact fucking words. And make sure you get the G right. Okay? Yeah. Ay. You'll get a bottle, just take it and leave it by saying grazie. Okay, that's Italian. Don't ask how much it is or anything else, just walk out. When you have it, come back to Jackie boy here and let him know. You done? Memorize that shit and hand it over. I don't want to test his patience. I'm not going to say what's the rush, buddy. What's with all this cloak and dagger nonsense? Or finally didn't think your boss was the letter guy? Yeah, I'm comfortable with the third one. That's a very Bruja thing to say. So, didn't think your boss was the letter guy. Didn't peg your boss for a letter kind of guy. It's electronic communications, his whole shtick. Yeah, well, some things are better done the old-fashioned way. You about done with the letter? You know the phrases and address mentioned in the letter, then hand it back to Jackie. He immediately reaches for a lighter and burns the letter, putting out the ashes with his boot. So yeah, when you do what the boss asks, come back here so I can tell you where to go next. I'll be in that alley over there, so find me when you have the item, whatever it is, I don't know, and the boss made it extra clear that it shouldn't care, so I don't. See ya. He shuffles away and leaves you to pursue the lead from the letter. Time to pay a visit to Nolita. You arrive at the address mentioned in the note. No counting local restaurants' patrons. The street is mostly empty at this time of night. But curiously, the wine shop is still open. Inside, a small middle-aged woman with curly hair strands behind the counter in front of a wall filled with wine bottles. There's a door at the back of the room with a small table and chair occupied by a man in a black faux leather jacket with slick combed back hair. He's reading a newspaper but pauses as the little bell rings when you open the door. He takes a sip from a small steaming cup, then gets back to his broadsheet. Good evening. How can I help you? We can either be direct, chat her up, or tell her a friend sent you. I'd go with tell her a friend sent you. A friend told me that this is the place to get a bottle of 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negramaro. Is that right? She gives you a curious look. No, I'm sorry. I don't think we have that one. Your friend must have been thinking about our 1920s Special Reserve Negramaro. This is where I think we really have to say, but it was in 1821. She turns to take a weathered bottle off the shelf behind her. Recite the phrase and reassure her. Casually recite the phrase, or recite the phrase straight and simple. Just recite the phrase straight and simple. I am a fedele servitore della famiglia. G. In that case, let me see if we have any in the back. Wait here, please. The woman leaves the counter and goes through the door in the back. The man by the table puts down his newspaper and takes another sip from the cup, washing it down with a gulp of water from the nearby glass. He tries to hide it, but there's no doubt he's watching you. About a minute passes. Remain silent and wait, chat the guy up, or borrow the guy's newspaper. Just remain silent. So you remind yourself of what Kaiser wrote in the letter and keep quiet, patiently waiting for the woman to return from the back of the store. The man finishes his drink and starts doodling on the newspaper, his eyes darting to you every so often. The doors to the back of the store open and the proprietor emerges with a small, unlabeled, squat bottle of crimson liquid. She gives you an apologetic smile. Scusi, sorry for taking so long. Turns out we did have it. She offers you the bottle and you reach out to grab it, but she retracts it. You do know what this is, don't you? I just play simple. Why, it's wine, of course. Or should we use our presence? We don't know if she's a vampire or she's a human. What do you guys think? I'd have a tendency to kind of go... He wanted us to go in, get in, and get out, so I'll just play dumb and say why it's wine, of course. Yeah, I'm worried about the guy watching me as well. Well, this is a wine shop, so it's wine, surely? Well, of course, the best kind of wine. Enjoy. She winks at you. Deciding you've pushed your luck far enough, you nod and exit the store, then take a brisk walk to your car. Nobody follows you as you leave Nolita and drive back to your apartment. It takes you some time to find a parking spot, but you finally get out of the car and start looking for Jackie. He's not far from where you parted ways just under 2 hours ago. Got the goods? Sure do. I do, but it was a hassle or any idea what it is. Just sure do. I sure do. Cool. Stand by. Gotta make the call. He takes a few more steps into a narrow space between the two buildings and takes out the same high-tech phone you saw him carrying last time. Hey, boss. Yeah, they have it. Where do I point them to? Okay. Yeah, I'll tell them to go there right away. He puts the phone back in his pocket and turns back to you. Well, it's point. Half an hour, so you better step on it. See you around. With only a flippant salute, Jackie starts walking down the street. You make your way back to the car and drive. You have to push the speed limit to make it on time, but you're here. Willard Points is quite change of scenery. The place is a post-industrial dump, the nearby stadium notwithstanding. You stop your car once you realize that if you go any further, the potholes will kill your chassis. You step out into one of those gashes in the asphalt, splashing the ankle-deep water. Kaiser's limo is nowhere to be seen. In fact, the whole place is pretty much deserted, other than the apparent proprietor of a lonely bar, a middle-aged woman who's just locking up the place. Okay, so do we wait for Kaiser, look around for Kaiser, or use the feeding opportunity? I don't think we should feed. I would just say wait for Kaiser. You stay near your car and decide to wait. Kaiser must be on his way. Or if he's not and is instead playing one of his games, then you're not participating. You've got what he wants, let him come to you. The bright lights of a car pulling over down the road some 10 minutes later catch your attention. It's a black limo. Kaiser is finally here, it would seem. Same as last time, the car door opens, but nobody comes out. You know the drill. This time, Kaiser is visible when you look inside. You sit down and close the door behind you. So, you pulled it off, without a hitch then. Give it here. You hand the bottle over to the Nosferatu. He uncords it gently, taking a whiff and puts the cork back in. Yeah, that's the stuff. See, that wasn't too hard. Consider your debt paid. Oh yeah, and also take this. It's what Langley wanted. He passes you an envelope with what feels like a thick card inside. So we either say, thank you, Mr. Kaiser, now we're even, or I think you'll still owe me a bonus. Oh my god, that would be kind of what I want to say, but I'll just go with the thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Yeah, I'll send Jackie over if I ever need anything else from you. How about that? Time for you to get out now. He waves you out of the car with the envelope in hand. You get out, back into the torn asphalt in decrepit surroundings. The limo slowly drives away. Finally, you can return to Sophie and bring her what she wanted. Gregory lets you inside. You hear a shrill, unpleasant laugh, and you realize Sophie's having a guest over. Thomas Arturo. You met him in Elysium a few nights back. That shriek is unmistakable. Ah, Jack, so glad to see you. Tell me, did you two have a chance to talk previously? Thomas speaks up before you can. Why, yes, of course, and such a good first impression you made, too. Miss Langley clearly did the right thing by taking you under her wing. I'm sure she thinks so, too. Don't you, Sophie? Why, of course, Of course you do, of course. Well, I believe I must be going. I'll be sure to let Prince Panard know your thoughts, Miss Langley, word for word, or as close as I can remember them. I appreciate it, Thomas. You two enjoy your night now. Good night. Sophie, Jack, Greggy boy. He gives you a sly smile. Sophie's driver opens the door for Arturo, and the guest steps out with a single wave of the hand towards his host and you. The door closes. He's quite the character, isn't he? What a creep, or what's his deal? I'm definitely going for what a creep. That guy's a creep. I wouldn't be so harsh, fledgling, but it does take some getting used to, certainly. Thomas has clout in court and access to many juicy details on everyone from the prince to the lowliest primogen. It's useful to have him on your side, even if his eccentricity requires some patience. Speaking of patience, you have been putting mine to the test lately. Did you manage to contact Kaiser and acquire what I asked for? We can answer yes, but I had to do another job for him first. I have it, sorry for the wait, or I'd appreciate some more gratitude. I'd go for the first one. Yes, I have it, but the data you offered was old news to him. I had to do another job for him before he could give me this card. She retrieves the envelope from you. I'm sure he did. I do hope it wasn't too much of an inconvenience. Say I had to retrieve a bottle for him, I had to deal with his servant first, or he's just a huge prick. Do I want her to know what I got for him? I don't think so. I don't trust her yet to give her that much information. I kind of want to say he's just a huge prick, so let's go with that. The worst thing about this entire operation, Case is just a huge prick. She chuckles. Why do you think I wanted you to deal with him? I appreciate your sacrifice, I really do. She opens the envelope and looks at the card. You notice the same lettering you saw on Kaiser's note from before, but can't see the details. Her eyes widen. Yes, excellent. I need to call in some favors. I will likely be busy for the next few nights. You have my permission to show some initiative, by dear charge. I will contact you soon. With that, Sophie ushers you outside, and you are left to do with the rest of this night's hours as you like. Finally, some freedom to do what we want. Okay, so let's sum up. We're at the second part of either seeing Tamika, or as we call Tam from Gangrel. We just finished off, so there's like a second part to D'Angelo, which we've seen. There's a second part to Hope. D'Angelo, the Nosferatu. Hope is the Malkavian. Somebody's watching me, part 1. I kind of want to know who's watching me, but I also kind of want to go see the Tremere. Let's go see the Tremere. Agathon. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie, a small bookstore smack dab in the middle of Broadway of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. From what you heard about the Tremere, they are infamous for their ties in the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it all feels borderline satirical. The books here cover everything from Ayurvedic practices and homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. The vaguely amusing juxtapositions don't end there either. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap smiling Buddha. A scientific journal of hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet on the blood type personality theory. A number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia, and haphazardly strewn across the display and between the tomes. These words are really getting me tongue-twisted here. Oh my god. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny Far East tinged music seeping through the crackling speaker mounted above the entrance. It's much more quaint than what you expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. Then again, if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. At this time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear something shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides and the door is pushed open just a few inches. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appear in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, scratching at her tattooed neck. Finally, she squints in your general direction. Her pierced lips curve into an awkward smile. Is Agathon in? I'm here for occult advice, or got anything on vampires? I just go straight to the point. Is Agathon in? I'm looking for a guy named Agathon. Is he around? The girl gives you a suspicious look over, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back, and you hear footsteps coming from behind the floral curtain that covers the back door. A bespectacled, smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Come in and follow me. Just don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. The woman leads you behind the curtain and through the back door, onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice the change in decor, as the tacky new age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. The smell here is strong, too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff, it becomes apparent. Blood. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Aisling Sturdbridge, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. I have no idea what that means, so we're going to go check it out. So regent is, every chantry has a regent. The regent is responsible for the tutelage of all other Tremere in the domain. While the regent may not teach them personally, she must ensure all Tremere are being educated. The regent's other duties extend to the clan's protection in the domain, and sometimes its representation of the Primogen Council. A chantry is a traditional name for the Tremere headquarters in a city, usually part shelter, part library, and part laboratory. Good to know. You are Jack, correct? I have to say you're lucky the ward outside the building is only there for notifications tonight. Otherwise, it would have been quite unpleasant. To answer your question, Agathon is here, but he's hard at work and I wouldn't want to disturb him. Am I to understand this is a social visit? We have three options here. How do you know who I am? High Regent sounds important. Or hiding above an occult bookstore, really? Yeah, I'd kind of go with the third one. Sorry, I just can't get over the fact that you're using this place as a front. I mean, an occult bookstore, that's about keeping a low profile. I realize you're still new to this whole thing, so I'll take that as a youthful ignorance and not some misguided attempt of sarcasm. The darkest place is under the candlestick. You've seen the display. Tell me it's not the last place you'd look for an actual mystic. Now, not that I don't enjoy schooling clueless neonates, but may I ask what it is you're here for? So neonates are a young kindred recently embraced, but more than a fledgling. So we've upgraded from fledgling to neonate. Not bad. I was expecting to find Agathon here. Sophie mentioned Agathon to me, and I heard good things about Agathon. Let's flatter him a little. I heard good things about Agathon. So I heard some good things about Agathon. Thought I'd drop in and see how much of it was true. Appealing to your vanity. To our vanity. How very original. You better step up your game, fledgling, or New York will eat you right up. Suddenly a man enters from a side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. I have it, Ailing. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor. Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact. Is that so? Sophie Langley recommended you. I'm looking for allies, or let me introduce myself. He's definitely curious who we are, so I'd definitely go with maybe either let me introduce myself, although it might sound a little odd. I'm looking for allies is straight to the point. And I don't want to keep throwing Sophie's name around because I just go with number 3. Let me introduce myself. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jack. I've been told you might be interested in teaming up. Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. What for? I could assist you in your work, for the company, what else, or I could use your knowledge. I'd go with helping, so I could assist you in your work. I could assist you in your work I can be quite helpful knowing I can count on someone to return the favor. Is that right? He seems to consider it, then turns to Ailing. High Regent, may I ask your advice on this? Ailing looks at you with nary a sign of emotion. I believe that you are more than capable of carrying out your own tasks, my child. I do not think any assistance will be necessary. Oddly enough, he seems somewhat disappointed. Your confidence in me is appreciated, High Regent. It has been earned. So it's settled then. I would kindly ask that you leave fledgling. We have many matters to discuss, matters not meant for undiscerning ears. Both of the warlocks look at you expectantly. Wait, I didn't mean any disrespect. Apologies for any inconvenience, or yeah, well, fuck you too. I kind of want to tell them to fuck off. Take a deep breath, exactly. I'll go, wait, I didn't mean any disrespect. Let's just do that. Wait, please, I didn't mean any disrespect. I'm sorry if we started off on the wrong foot. You only get one shot at first impressions. And you missed yours by a mile. So if you can think of anything clever to say, now would be a good time. Otherwise, you know where the door is. I'm offering my help if you need it. What can I say to make it up to you? Or I was hoping for a partnership. But they just rejected us. What can I say to make it up to you is kind of... I'm hesitating between the first and the second one. I'm offering my help if you need it. They just literally told us she doesn't. What can I say to make it up to you? Or I was hoping for a partnership. Let's go with number 2. Listen, frankly, I'm not sure what it is you want to hear. Is there anything I can say to make it up to you? You misunderstood me. It's not about what you're willing to say. Talk is cheap. Okay, she wants us to do something for them. But if you're willing to actually do something for us, you might be useful in our current predicament. What do you have in mind, High Regent? Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation of what it is you're after? Agathon gives Ailing a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regent investigates if any foul play was involved, I have been tasked with recovering her research notes, if there is anything left to recover, that is. I may have an idea where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact. Given the time we've just wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately. So we have 3 options here. What research is this about? Who's the missing person? Or what's the rush? I'd say definitely who's the missing person would be the question I would ask. And the missing kindred, who is she? A single glance at Ailing is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least for now. We're after her research. That's what you should focus on. These people aren't in the habit of making things simple, fleecing layers upon layers of secrecy. You can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not? So sure, I'll join you. I need more info before I decide, or on second thought, not interested. I'm definitely going, so let's go. Sure, I'll join you. Very well. He gives Ailing a slight bow. High Regent, with your permission? She nods. Before you go, however, Jack deferred to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience above everything else. Prove you can follow, and this might turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. That's what we want, right? So, I will await his return and his report. Good luck, my child. Agathon bows again and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regent watches you leave. Outside, Agathon leads you to his car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind a wheel. Somehow, you'd expect a more mystical means of transportation, like teleportation. Okay. You drive south, heading to the Lower East Side. Agathon seems lost in thoughts. Either that or he's a very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence. So where are we going? So the High Regent is your sire, or remain quiet? They don't want us to know where we're going. I don't want to be a dick asking. So the High Regent is your sire. I just kind of want to remain quiet. So I'll remain quiet. You decide not to disturb his thoughts and are surprised that it's him who breaks silence as you're about halfway over the East River. Let me ask you something. Why me? There's likely a couple hundred of us kindred in New York. Yet you seek me out specifically. Why? I'll say you sounded interesting. I've been told of a few younger vampires I should meet. You sounded like an interesting guy. Interesting? I see. Once more, he's grown silent. You're unsure whether to continue prying as your driver seems to disappear into his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg and stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help? So, here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. Once we're in, I need about half an hour of focus and some space. It'll be up to you to keep attention away from the room. Can you do it? He doesn't wait for an answer and points to the front door. Go ahead, I'm right behind you. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant. The doors open and you see that there are only a few guests left. Sitting at their table, an important-looking staff member approaches you. Good evening. I'm very sorry, but the restaurant is closing for the night. I can make a reservation for next week if you wish. We're location scouting, or I'm the special kind of client. I'd say we're location scouting. Hey, we're not your regular customers. In fact, we're location scouting for a movie. We'll just take a quick look around and we're gone. No, I'm sorry. We're not interested in being featured in a movie. I will have to ask you to look elsewhere. I would suggest Smith and Wolinski on 21 Club, or the 21 Club. Come on, man, give us a break. Presents. It's fine, we can come in. Or this is an outrage. I'd go with the second one. Presents is fine, we can come in. Hey, it's all good. We can come in. We'll be in the VIP lobby. I won't take long. The man blinks. A confused smile appears on his face. Yes, of course, not a problem. Please come right in. You walk in, trying to look casual, and make your way towards the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. It's a nice place, very highbrow, lots of old, expensive-looking furniture, and private rooms to discuss any sordid business one discusses when you're that rich. Your companion looks at you with something aching to admiration, or at least that's how you chose to interpret the slight change in his usual somber facade. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's usually cold, and Agathon soon discovers why. Looking behind the curtains, a window hangs open. The handle and lock look like they've been dissolved, as if with acid. God damn it, Juno. What's with the window? Who's Juno, or looks like she's gone? Let's go with looks like she's gone. Whoever Juno is, It looks like she's no longer here. A flash of fury sparks in his eye. Yeah, no kidding. He takes a frantic look around the room. This changes things. Keep an eye on the door. I'll need some time. Half an hour, at the very least. Nobody disturbs me, understand? He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants out of his way. Cutting into his own arm, he lets some of his blood drip into the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up the way his flesh oozes the deep red, thick vitae. In life, you'd have found its stomach churning, but right now you feel weirdly turned on by the sight. What follows is more disturbing yet. With one hand, he sheaths the knife and seals the wounds. With the other, he smears the blood around him while muttering some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's all more than a little disconcerting, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly as thin wisps of smoke surround Agathon. That's kind of impressive. I like that. He sits down in the middle, legs crossed, eyes closed. Minutes pass. Agathon's face twitches from time to time, and his head turns every now and then, as if he was looking around or listening in on a conversation. The smoke grows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expected something more flashy, but it's still a sight to behold. You wonder what the point of it is, but refrain from asking. It's probably best to let Agathon do his thing. For close to 30 minutes, you're left to your own devices. Then suddenly the door opens slightly and the manager leads into the room. You tense up for a few seconds, but he just gives you an awkward smile. Anything you need? You shoo him away before he can take a closer look at your companion, and he retreats obediently. 2 minutes later, Agathon casually gets off the floor and walks over to the sofa. He pushes his hand in between the cracks in the upholstery and fishes something out. He then turns to you and nods. We're done here. Let's go. You make your way back to the elevator, passing the manager on your way. He gives you a slight, somewhat confused smile, but neither him nor any of his staff get in your way. Despite that, the elevator ride down feels tense, and the two of you only relax once inside Agathon's car. He starts the engine and takes it right at the Continental Army Plaza, back onto the bridge. You're just about to say something, but he beats you to it. That went better than I expected, all things considered. It might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you just saw a smile. I'm used to working alone, but what I'm dealing with right now, it might require some more assistance, and you seem capable enough. Thanks, I guess. Found what you came for, and I can do more, you know. I would go with the third one. I can do more, you know. You know I can do more than watch your back while you're channeling Madame Blavatsky. Can you now? I guess we'll find out next time. That seems to deplete his social battery for the night. You drive to the rest of the way in silence. It doesn't take you long to reach the warlock's hideout. Agathon waves at you absent-mindedly, once again lost in his thoughts, hopelessly so. One of these nights, you should probably take him up on his offer. Who knows? If you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through his stoic facade and meet the man underneath. So that went well as well. I'd say we're good. I'd say we're doing pretty damn good. We got quite a bit of options here. So we can either go to Juno and Agathon. The Faith and Myth Part 2 part. Somebody's Watching Me Part 1. A Nosy Reporter Part 1. Then we have The Other Side of Hope, D'Angelo, and Tam. I hate reporters. I don't want to do that one yet, but I am wondering about somebody watching me. So let's go with that. Someone is following you around. Has been for a few nights, maybe longer. That can't be a good thing. The only question is what to do about it. Provoke the stalker to appear or tell Sophie you have a problem. I definitely go with provoke. So let's provoke the stalker. Let's get some action here. You venture out to the street with the goal of letting your stalker know you're aware of being followed. It's time to stop this ridiculous charade. It's raining outside, and as you step onto the street in front of your haven, you wonder whether that'll help you. Will you be able to see the footprints of your stalker in puddles on the ground? I'm not sure where to start. You slip a few bills to a homeless man and chat up the guy who runs the local bodega. Both of them talk your ear off about strange characters hanging around, but none of their stories seem right to you. Walking the streets, you're convinced by turns that everyone you see is an enemy agent out to get you, and that your stalker has decided to take the night off. Frustrated after a couple of hours of useless searching, you cross the road without looking where you're going. A courier on a motorbike zooms towards you and has no time to brake or swerve as you suddenly step in front of him. For a split second, your eyes meet those of the man on the bike, and you both know you'll collide. You'll get hurt. Something hits you, pushing you forward. You tumble, flying to the sidewalk as the courier zooms past. You feel a weight on your back, catch a glimpse of something of a person, a female, you think, and then she disappears. You could spend a couple more hours trying to find the woman who's been stalking you, but in your shriveled undead heart, you know it to be futile. She's gone. Okay, so we almost found whoever's running after us. I'm taking votes at this point. Whoever wants Faith and Myth Part 2, so Benoit Segal wants to meet you again at the cathedral. You wonder whether that mysterious priest will be there. Which character do I prefer as of now? To be honest, Malkavian, Hope. That's the one I gravitate towards. Second one would definitely be Gangrel. I like the animalistic part of them. Then again, I've always really loved Bruja, Malkavian, and Gangrel. They've always been my favorite, well, other than the Astamite. The assassins of the vampires, I kind of really like them too, because they're like solitary, and they don't, they hold out contracts, but not on anyone's specific side. Yeah, so I'd say Hope is my favorite one so far. How about you, Lord? Which one is your favorite? How about every one of you? How about you, Demon? What's your favorite? And whoever else is there, Croaky Toad, if you're still there. Do you guys have any preferences on clans? Hope is crazy. I like Tam. Yeah. But Hope, that's the whole point of a Malkavian, right? They are crazy. That's what we love. Well, that's what I love about them. They're perfectly insane. I guess I have a little soft part because I'm an anxious person, and they deal with psychological issues. I really like Hope concept, yeah. But to be honest, I didn't even meet them all when I played. Really? Huh. I'm curious about Faith and Myth Part 2. Benoit Segal, the priest, religious. I'm just not a very religious person, and I hate nosy reporters. There's a sleazy reporter from a gossip magazine sniffing around Sophie's haven. She could use your help with the problem. Let's help Sophie out. Let's go with the part 1. The street lights filter into the apartment in a stark white glow, as if someone were shooting a movie outside. The art piece display a tasteful expense entirely fitting the image you have of Sophie. It feels as if 1,000 sins have been committed on these premises, most of them under the benevolent hospitality. Sophie comes to greet you as you enter the living room, shaking her head. You understand that people judge me based on how you dress, don't you? Oh, what a bitch. Sophie looks at your clothes as if resigned to your sartorial limitations. I can take care of myself. I've tried to dress inconspicuously, and I've had other things to worry about. I definitely go with the third one. I don't fucking care about my appearance, so I've had other things to worry about. I've had other things to worry about than shopping for clothes. Sophie walks to the window and looks out. The streetlights playing on her features, she reminds you of a queen contemplating the unfortunate limitations of her subjects. You'd think that as a vampire, at least we wouldn't have to worry about the vultures of the press. Unfortunately, when you have power and ability, there are always parasites trying to feed on you. Is there a reporter after you? I used to have a journalist friend, or I'll go beat the bastard up. Oh, I'll go beat the bastard up. Oh, I appreciate the verb. Still, as a kindred, you have to do better than dumb and brutish. Fuck her. Sophie steps away from the window and settles down on a sofa, a wine glass with red liquid in it, blood treated as not to spoil. You've become good at noticing the scent, even from a distance. She doesn't offer you any as you cautiously sit down across from her. This awful man has been stalking my apartment with a camera. He's gone through my trash, talked to the neighbors. Please be a dear and explain to him that there's nothing for him here. I don't know if you guys noticed, but that blackness around the screen is not good. I'm not an errand boy. Is this about the masquerade? Is this about the masquerade? That's a big deal for us, right? Indeed, you're learning. Isn't this dangerous? Isn't this unavoidable? Or this must happen often? I tend to say it must happen often. This must happen often. How do you usually deal with it? Everyone has their own way. Sometimes the problem goes away with a bit of money or sharp words. Other times you need something more. Am I in danger? Do I get something out of this? Or do you know anything about the reporter? Do you know anything about the reporter? Man, woman, young, old, anything like that? All gossip reporters look the same to me. Time for you to go. I have business to attend to. You leave the apartment as Sophie disappears into another room. You don't have a clear idea of the games she plays with the city's mortal and immortal power structures, but she always seems to be making a move. Outside on the streets, there's a slight warm drizzle, the kind that gets under your clothes and makes you want to take a shower when you get back to your own haven. No reporters immediately jump out to you. Either investigate the area or stay put and keep an eye out. Investigate the area. You start with the basics of investigative work. You ask the proprietor of the bodega around the corner, the homeless man sleeping in a nearby doorway, and the doorman of another building whether they've seen anyone strange. Detective work produces results. You get the description of a man who sounds like a reporter. Older, overweight, pasty, and in bad physical condition. Professional camera. Once you know what you're looking for, it's not difficult. You spot a man who matches the description and follow him. You enter an alley, a dark, dingy I hope this is a feeding opportunity at the same time. So a dark, dingy space between two tall buildings. Once upon a time, a place like this might have worried you, made you think of mugging and violence. Now it's clear that the most dangerous thing here is you. The man you are following seems to realize this too. He holds his camera in front of him like a shield, its heavy objective resting on his paunch. With a start, you recognize him. You remember the face, the shade sunglasses, or the picture next to a byline in some trashy paper you were reading to kill time. Something about celebrities, scandal, sex. His name is Frank Doggery. You saw him on the street one time with camera outside a nightclub, probably waiting for someone important to come out so he could take their picture. Hey, don't go around scaring people like that. I recognize you, I'm a huge fan, or welcome to Knuckletown. Welcome to Knuckletown. So subtle, right? I mean, let's play him a little. I'd say I'm a huge fan. Wow, you're Frank Dougherty. I'm a huge fan. Love your work. Yeah, population 2. Exactly. Thank you. It's nice to have one's work appreciated. So, a reporter, huh? What are you reporting on? Or a lot of scoops here in this dirty alley? Let's go with number 3. A lot of scoops here in this dirty alley. You can't be a journalist if you're not willing to get your hands dirty. Do you live here? I'm working on a story about a local resident. Her name is Sophie Langley. Everybody knows her in high society circles. She's a redhead, pretty as a picture, and there were a lot of pictures of her through the years. That's the thing, in fact. Look at this. Frank pulls out his phone and starts showing you pictures. Some have been downloaded from news sites, while others are photos from the society pages of newspapers from past decades. I'll show Sophie. She has different clothes, hairstyle, makeup, names, but her face remains the same. That's strange. So what do you think is going on? They're all hot. Other than that, I'm not sure. Or so you're a stalker of some sort. I would go with the second one. Let's play dumb. They're all hot. Other than that, I'm not sure. They're all hot. Other than that, I'm not sure. Come on, look at the faces. It's always the same. This must be important. You must have a theory about what's happening, or so why does this matter? So I'd go, so why does this matter? I want him to talk. Maybe it doesn't, but people are always interested in staying young. 3 words. Extreme plastic surgery. All the celebrities do it. Only her doctor is better than the rest. You look critically at the photos on Frank's phone. No doctor is that good. Hook me up with this miracle doctor, or you're looking for a doctor in an alley. You're looking for a doctor in an alley. You're thinking the world's best plastic surgeon is working out in this alley? Okay, fine. I don't know what this is about. So, how would you explain it? Either I know Sophie personally. I don't want that because then he'll start investigating me, ancient medicines, or it's a hoax. I go with it's a hoax. Have you considered the possibility that those pictures are a hoax? Sure, anything can be a hoax, but I dug up those old papers from the archives myself. I got to have something usable. Threaten Frank with legal action, intimidate Frank with violence. Reporters don't tend to back off with legal action. And intimidation, I mean, either of these two makes this guy want to ask for more, so it's not the end. We're a Bruja, so we're definitely violent. We're going to go with the second one. The powers of the blood makes Kindred fearsome killers. Looking at Frank, you decide that you can administer this beatdown without help from your undead nature. This was the wrong moment to develop professional pride. I wanted to punch you from the moment I saw you, or nothing personal, friend. Nothing personal, friend. No, I wanted to punch you from the moment I saw you. You punch Frank in the mouth. Perhaps the most important thing about your new vampiric existence is getting used to violence. You have to hunt. Defend yourself. Frank falls down on one knee. This is not defending yourself. Please don't. You smack Frank across the face. You feel his perspiration sticking to your skin. Blood wells from his mouth, and you have a sudden urge to bite down and drink. Sophie probably wouldn't appreciate a corpse in an alley next to her home, so you restrain yourself. Frank is on all four on the wet ground. You pick up his camera and casually fling it into a wall. The telephoto lens breaks off. Oh my god, please don't. Stay away and this won't happen again. Run. Run your mouth and I'll break the rest of your teeth, or I'll just hit you some more. What do you say? Stay away and this won't happen again. Run. Let's go with that one. Frank staggers upright and runs out of the alley as best he's able, leaving his ruined camera behind. You look after his receding figure, wondering if he'll have the courage to return. Kazuya Al-Asmai, the sheriff of the New York City, is knocking on the door to your haven. The sight comes as more than a little shocking. If he had business with you, you'd either expect to see him already inside or never seen him coming at all. Yet there he is, on the other side of the peephole, patiently and politely waiting for you to let him in. Problem solved forever, right? No, definitely not. It said at part 1, so there's definitely a part 2. I'm 100% sure. You carefully unlock the door and face him in silence. Evening. May I come in? You simply stare at him. Your lack of an answer doesn't faze him. And your lack of resistance as he starts walking inside has obviously been interpreted as a permission. So true. It kind of gives the answer. Exactly. And reporters never back off, whether it's violence or legal. I mean, they're like, the more you push them away, the more you try to get them to leave, the more they'll be interested. Once inside, he starts looking around as you cautiously stay by the door. Haven't really had time to make this place your own yet, have you? It feels like Langley's apartment through and through. A secluded study where nobody studies anything. Look at the books on this shelf, obviously meant to impress guests, not to be read. They reveal nothing about their owner, aside from the aching desire to be taken seriously as an intellectual. He picks one of them up and smirks before putting it away. The phenomenology of spirit, next to all this garbage poetry. We can make a bet. If she's read more than 20 pages, I owe you $50 and a gallon of blood. Ooh, that would be good. The kind of place that self-process hermits entomb themselves into suffer. Considering how much you have to run around these nights, you probably only use it to shelter from the sun and rest, right? Even though he's obviously making an effort to come off as non-threatening, it's impossible to forget the first impressions he made. You still see him as a fierce predator, trying hard not to expose his true colors. You sense a familiar fight-or-flight response as you struggle to find a diplomatic answer to his last question. If Kadir is bothered by your silence, he doesn't let it show. He keeps walking around, toying with whatever catches his eye. Eventually, he speaks up again. Watch any baseball lately? If I had to guess, you strike me as a Red Sox fan. Now he's inviting you to talk in a more direct manner. You attempt to overcome your physical reaction to him and reply as casually as you can. Nothing in all three options. Let me guess. What do you guys want? 1, 2, or 3? Let's go with number 1. Your mind keeps going back to the night when everything was changed forever. Waking up in hell with a body next to you, spending a night in that underground sweatbox, unsure of what will happen next. That endless car ride, 3 strikes, a bloodthirsty crowd, that blade. I would have gone with 3. A rebirth, a baptism by fire, a frightening executor who made sure the flames scarred your spirits. As you look into his face, you realize he's read the emotions from yours. Not in the mood to exchange pleasantries, There's no animosity in his voice, he's just stating a fact. Let me get straight to the point then. He momentarily stops caring about his surroundings, turning all of his attention to you, and demanding the entirety of your attention in return. You see, there's something I've realized over the years, in large part. I may have been hired just to look menacing with a sword, but my job is all about seeing through bonds and relationships. Camarilla would be safe as long as its members adhere to certain social contracts, making their dealings and affinities plain for everyone to see, but that obviously remains a pipe dream. This is a community of born conspirators, overly ambitious gangsters, and politicians, monsters in denial. All sorts of tragically broken individuals. They are driven by desire that make them incompatible with the masquerade, incompatible with prolonged survival of the Camarilla, incompatible with the methods I use to operate. And so I am doomed to be like a cop, constantly insulted behind my back, maybe for good reason, but immediately called for help whenever someone loses their tableware. Or like an Agatha Christie protagonist, outwardly assisted by everyone, but constantly lied to about everyone's past and motivations, even if my failures to solve the mystery might be the end of us all. He tries to sound like he's peacefully resigned to his fate, but it's easy to detect a tinge of regret in his voice, a voice belonging to someone who once had bigger ambitions than this. What broke him? So you see, for this detective, the why done it is far more important than who done it or how done it. And when you understand all the players and their mutual obligations, you easily understand every crime. But of course the kindred know it. So they devise ways to make my job much harder. But like conspiracies between two unrelated actors, that depends on scratching each other's back for mutual security. Or they enforce a blood bond to make someone unexpected their thrall. A boss serving their employee, a rebel serving a tyrant, just because one regularly being forced to drink another's blood. So blood bond, by definition, is a mystically enforced relationship between a vampire and another, mortal or kindred. Drinking the blood of a vampire directly from the vein 3 times creates an intense loyalty in the drinker, resembling an infatuation or obsession. The bond loses its grip with time, but is reinforced by repeated drinks from the donor vampire. What has Sophie seen in you? Why does the prince keep asking me about your actions? How come you're being pushed to build your own coteries so fast? You are surrounded by unclear motivations which you yourself don't understand. That unnerves me, and it should unnerve you as well. Why are you here, and what are your motivations, or you unnerve me? I'd ask, I'm going straight to the point. Why are you here? This monologue has gone on for long enough. Why are you here? What is this about? Finally, you manage to raise your voice. Kadzir notices the effort and smiles softly. So you haven't gone mute since the last time I saw you. Good. Well, I'm here for selfish reason. I need to develop a rapport with you to better fulfill my obligations. The last time we met, I couldn't see you as my equal. Now that you've been accepted into the Camarilla, what choice do I have? I'd understand if you would want to see my face, if you wouldn't want to see my face again, but I'm one of the faces of New York City community, and as long as you're part of it, it's going to be impossible to avoid me. Especially when I have business with you, and I do. As you might have guessed by now, one of my tasks is uncovering and understanding your bond, and one of them might endanger our community. Well, that's not menacing at all. Who is he talking about? Sophie, someone's from my coterie, or Kaiser? Someone from my coterie? You mean someone I'm trying to recruit into my coterie? Kadzir shakes his head. I'm monitoring them and they know it. If they're breaking the rules, they're doing it in the right way. Meaning I haven't learned about it yet. Unless you might want to share something? A moment of awkward silence. Joking, mostly. He produces a file from underneath his coat and passes it to you. This is our troublemaker. You open the file and see some printed photos. You freeze up as you recognize the face and are overwhelmed by a flood of repressed memories. Holy shit! I didn't expect that. Jessica. Jessica Lowell. The woman who made the past few years of your life heaven and the last few weeks a living hell. Since she took pretty much everyone you knew from her after the split, you thought the transition to this life would be painless. No baggage at all. Have you thought wrong? He looked up at Kedze, expecting answers. There are some unfortunate rumors that you committed suicide after a messy breakup, so apparently Miss Jessica here is desperately mobilizing everyone she knows to look for you. Oh, fuck her. Turns out she contacted a lot of people who might recognize you, including some law enforcement agencies. The risk of endangering us is relatively low, but far from non-existent, which means she must be stopped. Must be stopped sounds threatening. You dread thinking what he's planning. I'll arrange for you two to meet tomorrow so that you can straighten the situation out and say goodbye to the life you've forsaken. He'll arrange what? Your eyes must look like saucers right now. Usually these matters are left to my discretion and I can't think of an easier solution. The lost sheep reappears, takes care of unfinished business, and disappears, never to be seen again. Nobody cares. It's simple. It's clean, non-contrived schemes, no unnecessary victims. And it gives me an opportunity to learn more about you as I observe. When neonates interact with kind, they used to hold dear. Their true natures are laid bare for everyone to see. Of course, he's invested in being kind to you. Or he's making clear his self-serving intentions so that you don't start to figure them out yourself. Any objections? Any alternatives? Or probably worse, you shake your head. Very well. I'll arrange a meeting and drive you there tomorrow. Better come up with a load of bull that's easy to swallow. He disappears from the apartment, leaving you as confused as the last time he closed the door on you. God damn it. You need to think it through. For a long time you just sit in your haven, lost in your thoughts, remembering how you once thought your world had ended with her leaving. Whining, sure, but seems like it was a prescient whining. Okay, so at this point, it's dinner time here, so I'd say we did some insane progress today. I don't know what you guys think, but definitely insane progress. We're on our second part with Agathon, second part with Hope, second part with D'Angelo, and with Tam. Somebody Watching Me Part 2. I'm very curious about that one. And that religious guy. So, I mean, I'd be comfortable to say that we'll leave this where it is for now, and next week we'll be doing mostly part 2 of pretty much everything here. Maybe less depending on how long it takes, but I'm definitely confident that we're gonna progress even more. Um, so that will be next Sunday. I'm actually very happy with today's stream. I really enjoy everyone that popped by to say hi. Naming some of them, shout out to Lord G6, an amazing streamer. Please check him out. Also, a shout out to Croaky Toad who came by, amazing as well. I'm so grateful and thankful to be surrounded by amazing people that stop by, check out the stream, and you know, the community for Lord G6, for Croaky Toad. Everyone is so amazing. I love it here. It makes it a real true pleasure to stream, and I absolutely love it. So thank you, everyone. Check out my recommendations on my channel, and we will see each other next Saturday for a continuation of Subnautica. And on Sunday, VTM Coteries of New York, Part 6. It's Vampire and Honey Lily. How could we miss this? Ah, thank you, Lord G6. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. And I wish you all have an amazing night. Thank you so much, and we will see each other next Saturday. Bye.